Meg 2: The Trench is a sequel to the 2018 movie The Meg. And this movie, starring Jason Statham as he's back with the rest of his team to try to fight these giant sharks, but also a giant octopus and other people that's trying to kill them. Now, is this movie's better than the first film? And the answer is no. This movie is very mid, and this movie actually suffers from what is really just known as sequel syndrome, which means that the sequel is going to be very lazy and that is relying on you to actually go on ahead and watch the first film to get all of the details and all of the information because they're not going to go on ahead and expand on it. Because when I first saw the Meg, it was just like 2 days before I even saw Meg 2. Because I get the better understanding of these characters that survived from the first film and how their characters actually change from the first film because of the experience that they have received, and also to their character development, their arcs, and everything else. But now, if you saw the Meg in theaters and just only saw it once and you're thinking of going back to see the Meg, I would advise you to watch the Meg before you watch this movie because you're going to be totally confused. You're going to be totally lost. You're not going to feel the character development that much and to understand. But does that give it the right for the movie to go lackluster on the character development just because you saw the Meg Part 1? And if you decide to recently watch the Meg before you watch this film, no, that does not give it an excuse because you still should go more into, because the movie shows lack of character development, character arcs, and just everything about these characters that we see. And even though we did saw part one, you still should grow and continue on with that character development on the second one. And the only character development that they really focus on was Jason Statham character and the little girl from the first movie because the little girl lost her mother, and now Jason Statham, he's stepping up to be this girl's father figure, and you can just see how the relationship is very genuine, it's very good, and you can see that how they just really care for each other, even though the little girl kind of get Jason Statham's nerves, but you can just tell like this is a father-daughter relationship. Now with this movie, you'll think that after the first Meg, they will go on ahead and expand all the good aspects from the first Meg and make it be better in the sequel, but they really didn't because this movie is all over the place. There's just so many themes that are happening throughout this whole film because there are just dinosaurs, then prehistoric dinosaurs. Then you focus on Jason Statham and his team in the trench as they were just walking because they have to go ahead and deal with some lady that stole one of Jason Statham's boss tech to try to like drill out something, and and then you just get confused because you will think that they summoned these prehistoric dinosaurs, and it's just like where's these prehistoric dinosaurs came from. There's just so many things that are happening in this film that is just so convoluted, and it's just like what in the world is going on? This doesn't make any sense at all. And the whole purpose of this movie is supposed to be about the Megs, and you don't really see them towards the third act of the film because the trailer that you saw in the Meg for the promotion of it, when you see Jason Statham on the jet ski and you see the giant octopus trying to eat people and stuff, that's all of it is in the third act of the film and the last 30 minutes of it. And that's where you get the fun, the joy. That's where you get the purpose of what the Megs is supposed to be. It's supposed to be dumb, silly, and fun. And throughout this whole movie, they try to combine that with a serious tone, and it just doesn't work at all. I mean, there are some few jump scares because these creatures from the under the sea or the trends are actually like trying to attack Jason Statham, and then sometimes they do come out of nowhere. But other than that, like this whole movie is just 100% a mess, and they just failed to do the execution, and it was just a real letdown because this movie is the whole purpose of it is supposed to be dumb and fun. And I thought that was the whole premise of this movie. But instead, for almost 2 hours, it's just literally boring. And then towards the end, that's when it starts to be all fun. And then by the time you get all the fun and everything else, it's already too late because you're just pretty much desensitized and it's just really is just something that you're just not into. And on top of that, the comedy did not hit for me. I really feel like the comedy did not hit because there are times that they try to be funny and try to say jokes and it just totally miss. Now, the time that you will be hearing people laugh or you'll find it be laughable is just the ridiculousness that is happening, because there's a lot of things that is just very ridiculous and it's just like, really, because it's this movie is silly, but the movie just really is silly in the wrong ways. But when it comes down to the effects of like the Megs and everything else, they really look good underneath the sea when it's dark. But when it's light, oh yeah, like you could just see how like ridiculousness, how fake it looks, and just everything. So with the whole effects of like, the Megs, the dinosaurs, and all the other stuff, they just pretty much really just need to put a little bit more focus on it, because even though it did look good, it still looked cheap. And I say that it looks better when you use like the night or when they're underneath the sea in the trends, because it kind of like hides it. Last but not least, let's talk about the villains, because they were very generic, very cartoonish, and very annoying. It was just to the point where it's just like, why it is there? And like their whole reasoning, we don't understand why they were doing what they were doing and like what was the whole purpose of it. And you can just tell which one was going to betray Jason Statham's team. This movie is just like I said, this movie is all over the place. They just had so many ideas and they just didn't execute it well, and they just pretty much just went lazy with the whole project. This movie could have been a lot better if they had a better script and a better direction, but it just didn't. But let me know down in the comment section how you guys feel about this movie, because honestly, my rating for this movie, I really was looking forward to see this movie because I really just want to see a fun, dumb movie, and this movie did not hit. I will rate this movie a literally a 5 out of 10, and I'll give this movie a D plus, because this movie, I would not recommend you guys should watch it in theaters. If you want to watch it in streaming, you guys should, but I would not recommend this movie. But if you guys do like this video, please give it a like, subscribe, and remember, always be decent. It's the Monotone Man. I hope you guys have a wonderful day and be safe out here. Peace.